my name is Robert Stanton, and I've known Adam Leitman Bailey for 7 years. I lived for 18 years on the Upper West Side in a rent-stabilized apartment. In a rent-stabilized apartment, I had a lease that only increased by a set percentage set by the city every 2 years. And it enabled me, freelance performing artist, to live affordably in Manhattan, which is something that is increasingly difficult to do. I had a landlord who owned the property who was developing it, and he wanted to get the rent-stabilized tenants out of the building and remodel all of the apartments and rent them for higher rents. And this is business, but there's a natural conflict there. One day a knock came on my door. The manager of the building knocked on my door and said, "The windows in your apartment facing the back wall are pretty much along the lot line of the building. When the building was built in 1910 or 1894, we had a disagreement about that. And therefore, in order to be up to code in New York City, we're going to have to brick up your windows. So we're going to move you to another apartment that's vacant in the building. We're going to come in, we're going to brick up these windows." I had a lot of light. "And you're going to get a new kitchen, but it's going to be a studio apartment. Basically, it'll be like a hallway with one dark window at the end on a fire escape." I instinctively knew or felt that if I was moved to another apartment, I would probably lose my rights as a rent-stabilized tenant because I would have left the apartment I was in. So I called Adam and I said, "What do I do?" And he said, "Ask him if he has legal documents proving that the windows are on the lot line." So I asked that question and was met with silence. So I said, "The issue of remodeling my apartment is off the table." The landlord and I later came to an agreement, and I willingly surrendered the lease. The agreement that we reached was amicable. Thanks to the agreement, I was able to help my elderly parents. There were periods of time where I was unable to work because they needed my help, and I needed to be available to them. And over the past 2 years of their lives, I was able to be there. And it's thanks to the advice and support of Adam, who actually wrote, if I recall, only one email to my landlord's manager. That's all it took. I'm going to tell you a story about Adam. When Adam was in high school, he was in an automobile accident. He was a track star, and he went through a windshield. I believe he was on the passenger side. And the doctor said he wouldn't be able to walk. He suffered a head injury. He finished high school, and he finished high school a track star, winning races. This tells you something about Adam's character, about his strength, about his compassion, about his ability to put himself in someone else's shoes, about his willingness to fight for somebody whose fight he believes in, and his ability and determination to get results. He took me under his wing. Like the Islamic Cultural Center at Ground Zero, I was a case that he felt he would give his protection to, and his fine mind and his advocacy. I can't express enough my gratitude to Adam, or my positive feelings about him. And I have recommended him to friends in similar situations or worse situations than I was in. And he is an incredibly creative, strong advocate for them. If I were a lawyer, I would not want to face off against Adam in a courtroom. He's a tiger, but he also has a tiger's heart. Adam is younger than I am, but being represented by Adam was like being under the protection of a benevolent uncle who would do anything to protect me, and could do anything to protect me. Adam taught me a great thing about negotiation. He basically gave me a piece of advice, stood, and he was standing invisibly behind me, whispering in my ear, "Set your number, don't back away from your number." So I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and it was a game of poker. And in fact, my landlord's agent, when he came within a significant amount of my number, I mean, very close, but it wasn't the number, he said, "You're tough." And I was tough thanks to Adam's advice. I'm a New York City actor. I'm a subway actor. I'm an off-Broadway actor. I've done over 20 shows on off-Broadway contracts. I've worked about 7 times on Broadway. I've made about 20 films. Made a lot of commercials when I was a young man. My income is wildly variable. I can have great years, and I can have years that are fallow. So finding an affordable place to live and protecting that affordable place to live is of the utmost importance. And I believe that Adam understood that instinctively. Being a freelance performing artist means that also, my work can last 6 months, my work can last for a year, my work can last 8 weeks, my work can last 12 weeks. And it means that when my parents needed me in an emergency, I could drop out of something without, I honor all of my commitments, but there are times when your commitment to your family is the most important commitment you have. People understand that. People have families. And so it means that there were times when I had to drop out of the workforce. And if I had not reached the agreement we reached, I wouldn't have been able to do it. Yes, it meant that for months at a time I had to live off savings. It's something that the time I had with my parents is something that can never be repaid. All of this happened at the same time. I moved from out of my apartment right at the time when my mother fell ill. I was looking for a new place to live while I was shooting a movie. I can't imagine the timing of all of this having been better in my life. I feel there's something, I don't believe in magic, I don't believe in fate, but through sheer coincidence and good fortune, the opportunity to meet Adam came to me. No other attorney would have gotten the results he got. No other attorney would have represented me with the generosity, the skill, the creativity, the elegance, and the lightness of touch that he did. I don't think any other attorney would have answered my emails and my phone calls and my texts within a space of a few hours. This is a very busy man. This is one of the best real estate attorneys in New York City. This man beat Donald Trump. This man took all of my calls and had an answer for me right away. And it was always the right answer, and it was always the best answer. Occam's razor exists in Adam's mind. I would definitely recommend Adam Leitman Bailey in the future. I have recommended Adam Leitman Bailey in the past to friends. Adam is representing friends of mine right now. If you're in the position I was in, definitely use the services of Adam Leitman Bailey and his team.